Thank you, Katie. I understand there was a bit of a confusion when they said Mario Lopez is coming to CPAC. As you can see, I'm not that Mario Lopez. Sorry, ladies. Not quite as good looking, but I'm a much better dancer, I promise. It's a great honor to be at CPAC once again. Always an exciting time of year, and it's always amazing to see how the tremendous quality of people, number of people that show up, and I think that the new venue reflects that as we continue to expand the mission of CPAC and to bring in new voices every year. So it's quite an honor. I remember as a young man growing up, I became addicted to politics at a young age, and I stumbled upon material by happenstance from an organization called the American Conservative Union, which, as you know, puts on CPAC. And along with that material that I came across and that of some other organizations, I was able to convert a lot of my friends from either being agnostic or not quite into politics, or actually even quite left in some cases, into being conservatives. So that's always something that I remember fondly and that I'm grateful for and that I hope will continue. The title of this talk is Small Business, the Engine of America. And let me just share a few numbers with you. I won't go too many because I know that sometimes we rely too much on statistics, but there are a few important things that I think we all should know. 52% of workers in America are employed by small businesses. Small businesses create 2/3 of the jobs in America. Small businesses are truly the engine of all Americans, and let me tell you what I mean. We've heard some talk, and there was some reference in the previous panel, and there'll be, I think, references justly so throughout the entire conference about the need to reach new voters, about the need to expand the conservative base. And I believe that small business issues are truly one of the most important ways in which we can make headways with new voters and new audiences. We've talked a little bit about the need to reach Hispanic American voters and to make sure that they understand what exactly our positions are and how our policies, how conservative policies can benefit them and their families. Well, did you know that Hispanics start small businesses at a rate 3 times that of the general public? 3 times that of the general public. And yet we all know what some of the results were in the election, where Obama won 71% of Hispanic voters. Now, one of my old bosses, J.C. Watts, I'm going to steal a line from him. He used to say, you know, a small business owner voting for Democrats is like a chicken voting for Colonel Sanders. And yet you take those numbers of small business owners in a rapidly growing population in an important part of the voter base, and a lot of them are voting for the other team. Now, there are a number of reasons why, but one thing that we all can agree on is simply that should not be the case. We want those folks to vote for their economic self-interest and their family's economic self-interest, and it's up to us to make sure that they're receiving the messages and the right information about what's good for them and their family and their small business. This represents a huge, I think, untapped potential, I hope that we can all agree. There are $1.1 trillion in costs and regulatory costs for small businesses in the United States. $1.1 trillion in costs. I'll say it again. That is a staggering number and represents more than families spend in healthcare costs combined. All families spend in healthcare costs combined. So that tells you just how much the regulatory environment alone, that's not counting taxes, that's not counting other sort of financial costs and burdens and barriers that small businesses face. It's just the regulatory costs alone. And these costs are 45% higher for small businesses than they are for big businesses. Something about that just isn't right. Now, I'm all for reforming the corporate tax code and having a much more meaningful overall regulatory environment, but I think that there should be particular focus on small businesses coming from the right, and it's something that I've seen a bit lacking over the last few years, and I'm hoping to be able to spur some of you all to make sure that our organizations and our elected leaders are talking more about this issue. Now, let me tell you, in terms of how some of that plays out, we talk about small business creating jobs, but it costs a small business $2,000 to $2,500 more per employee per year than big businesses cost. The small businesses doesn't have an OSHA compliant department or various people in charge of making sure that all the laws are being followed and the Obamacare regulations are up to speed. Small businesses are I'm talking about mom and pop stores who are filling out their taxes at the kitchen table while one kid's doing their homework and the other kid's crying because they're hungry, and dad's fixing helping to fix dinner. And these are the folks who we need to reach out to, and these are the folks all across America who are doing the work of fostering that engine that provides America with that economic growth. Now, let me tell you something about how we talk about this issue, I think, as conservatives. We all remember when Obama uttered the phrase, "You didn't build that," during the campaign. And I think that the right did a great job of pointing out just how ludicrous that phrase is. He had the nerve to say that to small business owners, "You didn't build that." The folks who had sacrificed years of their time and their energy and put blood, sweat, and tears into their small business and to achieving their piece of the American dream. And he said, "You did not build that." Now, we did a pretty good job of pointing that out and highlighting that. But there was a crucial mistake, I believe. The mistake was this. We focused a lot in our response on the small business owners. And I think that's an important part of the response. But what about the other folks who did help build that small business? The administrative assistants, the janitors, the associates, all the people employed by those small businesses. I don't remember one time where either the campaign or other high-level surrogates pointed out that the fact that Obama was hurting small businesses was also hurting those folks, because those are the folks who are employed by those small businesses. And guess what? If the small businesses start getting in trouble, those are the first folks who are going to be laid off. It'll always be the business owner who goes last, right? Because they'll try to keep it open as long as possible, and they're not going to fire themselves. So those are the people who are hurt the most by these regulations, by this the tax burden that small businesses face every day. And so I believe that if we do a better job of focusing not just on the small business issues, not just on the small business owners, but on the people who work for small businesses, that represents a huge opportunity for conservatives to make headway and to once again start winning national elections. I believe that we have to empower small business owners not just to have the right information about what it is that's wrong with the regulatory structure and the tax burden in America, but we also have to find ways to make sure that they're providing that information along to their employees so that the employees understand that they're in it together as well. I'll leave you with a story. There was a Hispanic woman who lived in an apartment building where I lived a few years ago. And I had seen her in passing and had said hi to her, and I knew that, she worked there, and she seemed like a very nice lady, and, we got talking eventually, and after months and months of just saying hi, and, it grows to, how are you, and how's your day, and nice weather, and that. We talked a little bit more and more. One day she confessed to me that she was thinking of starting her own cleaning business. And so this really got my attention. And I said, listen, I said, oh, tell me more about this. And she said, yeah, I have this idea, and I want to get some people on board, and I want to employ, and I'm just not sure where to start. But I've talked to some folks, and so I tried to talk her through some things as best I could, and help point her in the right direction. And she knew a little bit about my political background, and sometimes she joked with me about it, and I just kind of left it at that. But so then I started joking with her, and I said, oh, so now you're going to become a conservative, and now you're going to vote the right way. And she said, well, no, because Republicans are the party of big business, and I'm the little guy, and I said, whoa. I said, are you sure about that? And I explained to her some things, and at first she didn't believe me. And I was polite, I left it at that, but the day after and the week after that, I'd print a couple things out, and I'd kind of hand them to her, or I'd mention some things. I said, oh, by the way, did you hear that Obama said this, this, and this? And that's really going to hurt small business. And did you know that Obamacare is a terrible thing for small business? And here's why. And I just, kind of kept talking to her, kept joking with her. And finally she said, you got me. I've been talking to my friends who at first told me that you were wrong, and they can't answer the things that you're saying. They can't provide me with the information that you're providing me. And when I ask them the questions that you suggested I ask, they just look at me with a blank face. But she had not heard about any of these things. She had not gotten this information from anyone else. And so that was one thing, as one lady with one small business. But at the end of the day, she is the American dream. And if we can't reach her, then that means there are millions of other people that we aren't reaching. And so I want to suggest to you, for those of you who are small business owners, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But we need to push our organizations and our elected officials to make sure that they're handling this issue, and they're talking about this issue, and that they're talking about this issue with new and emerging communities, whether it be Hispanic, Asian, African American, or more traditional conservative voters. I believe that this issue represents an important opportunity for the conservative movement and the economic policies that we all want to see come in place, so that we again can be a nation that is prosperous and free. We know we are the team that promotes liberty and opportunity. And the reason that this woman, who I mentioned, ended up converting is because at the end of the day, her friends didn't have answers, because they are the team of statism and big government control over people's lives. So my friends, thank you. Thank you for being here. CPAC is a wonderful event. I hope you will enjoy the rest of it. And I hope that together with you all, we can help promote the message of prosperity and opportunity. And it starts, I truly believe, with promoting the things that are good for small business, the engine of America. Thank you.